Hi guys, welcome. My name is Nobukuma. If it's your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Before we go any further, please make sure that you subscribe. So click the subscribe button below and join the family. So as you can see, I'm out in the beach, nice clear waters, getting some sunshine in. But this is not the vlog about where I am. That is not the vlog. Today I'm just going to do a story time about one of the things that I'm asked about the most, which is how did I land a job at a UK law firm. So another thing is, because I'm doing this outside, I'm wearing an earpiece. Don't mind that. I'm trying to regulate the sound. But yeah, this is what I'm going to talk about today. How I landed a job in the UK, at a law firm in the UK, though I studied in South Africa. I think a good place to start is for me to tell you guys who I am, what I do, in case you have no idea but just came across this video because of, I don't know, a thumbnail or something. So I am a lawyer. I studied at the University of Victoria and I graduated with my LLB in 2018 and then I moved to the UK in 2019. So I think it's important for me to kind of tell you my story about being a student as an LLB student, because it plays a very big role in how I ended up where I am. So where am I right now before I go into how I got there? So I'm currently working in London at the London headquarters of a big global firm called Linklaters. Linklaters is one of the magic circle firms in the UK, which is like the top 4 law firms in the UK. And globally it's ranked in the top 20. And we have a presence, I think we have about 30 offices in about 20 something countries. So it's a very, very big global law firm, and I work in the London office. I am currently doing my articles, which is the equivalent, something which is the equivalent of articles in South Africa. But the route to how I ended up there is a long one, and I'm going to take you right back to the beginning of my LLB degree. Let's take it back to the University of Victoria, South Africa. So I did say already that I finished my LLB in 2018, graduated with distinction, thank you, in 2018. But let's take it back right to the start. So I'm from Zimbabwe and I came to study law in South Africa. Growing up, law wasn't something that I wanted to do, but I grew an interest in it like a bit later on in life. But that's a story for another day. But when I eventually decided to start studying law, I purposed in my heart that I was going to make it work. One, because my dad thought, where is this interest in law coming from? Because I was a sciences kid, right, up to my A levels, right? And then I just switched up and I was like, I want to study law. And my dad was a bit skeptical. So when I decided to study law, I sort of had a point to prove to myself and to him that I've made a good decision and I can make it work. So like from day one, I just hit the ground running. I was always the A student. I was always in the D's very pleased, always getting, high grades and all that. And then in 2016 going on 2017, which was second year going on third year, I was head of academics for the law faculty student body, which was called Law House. And yeah, I continued on that path, and I was just always a high flyer and always making sure I was doing the most, because I kind of had a point to prove. One thing though, that one curveball that was thrown at me during my studies was that must have been second year, I think, there's a module which is called the legal practice course that we took, and then we found out that to practice law in South Africa you actually have to be a permanent resident or a citizen, and I was none of that. So it was a huge curveball, and because of that it kind of meant that I was here studying law but I didn't have a future. And you know how, well, for those who don't know, law firms kind of start recruiting as soon as results from the previous year come in. So beginning of the year they're already recruiting top students and all that, and I had a couple of law firms reaching out and all that, but then I would hit a deadlock each time. They were like, oh, you need to be a permanent resident or a citizen, and I was like, well, I don't have that. And so it was a bit discouraging because I had put in the work. Remember I said that from day one I was always working hard, getting the highest grades that I could get to set myself up, and then now just because of my nationality I couldn't, there was no plan for me. So then 2016 I saw this ad that came from one of the student offices in the law faculty, right? And it said Linklaters African clerkship ABCD, but it came so late. I think the closing date for the application was a week from then. And I remember looking at this thing and I was like, law firm in the UK, what do they want from us? And then I looked at the application form, and it was nothing like I'd ever seen, because the ones that I'd seen were pretty simple, not to throw shade, but like the ones for South African law firms were pretty simple and straightforward. You could kind of like wing it and just fill it in and pass your transcript and keep it going. But the one for Linklaters particularly was lengthy and detailed and just needed a lot of thought, and I was just like, I'm not about to embarrass myself, so I'm gonna let this pass. I remember it was written there's a chance to go to the UK for a month-long internship, and I saw all that, but I was like, I just do not have the time, and chances are I'm gonna embarrass myself and not get into this thing, so I just let it pass for that year. 2017 came, and this time around, remember I told you that I was the head of academics for the student body of the law faculty. So I was involved with a lot of things like career days, getting law firms to come to the to the university to talk to law students. I was involved in everything that had to do with academics and getting people ready for the working environment. So 2017 comes, and this time, unlike the previous year where there had been an impromptu advert, in my discussions with the faculty leaders, it was made known that okay, Weber Wenzel, which is an alliance firm in South Africa, wants to come together with Linklaters to do a presentation, because Linklaters wants to pitch its African clerkship to their students. So what was the African clerkship? What is the Linklaters African clerkship? Linklaters, being a big international law firm which does a lot of work in Africa, wanted to expand its base, its African base, in terms of getting representation. So getting people who actually come from those countries in Africa in which they operate to be part of the firm, so that just adds perspective. There's just something about having people who come from the place that you're working in, who know the place, who know the economy, who know the politics, who know the cultures there. There's just something about having those people in your team, rather than just working off assumptions and all that. So because they were trying to get more Africans into the firm, they decided to look at universities in South Africa. But because they have an alliance with Weber Wenzel, they couldn't then target South African students who are studying in South Africa, because it would be like a competition with its own alliance firm. Because obviously, if you have a London law firm offering South African students studying in South Africa jobs, they're going to apply for Linklaters and not for Weber Wenzel. So how they structured it then was that Linklaters decided that it was going to target international students studying law in South Africa. International students particularly because, one, like I said, for competition purposes, it wouldn't have been wise to compete with Weber Wenzel for the same market. And two, remember again I said that we had a lot, and we still have a lot of international students who are studying law in South Africa but cannot actually use their law degrees when they finish, because they're not permanent residents or citizens. So Linklaters came, and I was involved in preparing things for the roadshow. They came, they presented this thing, oh, this is who we are. We're a big global law firm. We're a big global commercial law firm, and we're offering this African clerkship. It's the second cohort, etc. And then they whisked us away to the offices at Weber Wenzel for sort of like a Q&A. And there, we had people coming from UP, of course, from UJ, from VET, students from, sort of all around Gauteng, law students from all around Gauteng were present to hear the presentation. And I remember sitting in there thinking, this might just be my chance. Remember, I was now in third year and I had no plan, because I'm not a perm res, I'm not a citizen. Time is ticking. Most of the people who are in my class have been signed, and I have no plan. So I was like, this might just be my chance. And then, during the meet and greet, when people were having cocktails, I remember going to one of the ladies who was in HR recruitment, and I was asking her, so roughly how many people are you looking to take in for the clerkship? So the clerkship was a month long, or pre-COVID, the clerkship used to be a month-long internship in London, the London offices. So they will fly you out of South Africa to London, pay for your tickets, for your visa, for your accommodation and all that, and you for a month you're month-long interview, you work at the firm, there are interviews in there and all that. So I'm asked, okay, so what are the numbers looking like? What are you looking to, how many people are you looking to? And she's like, we typically want to get about 5-6. I was like, 5-6 people? You're telling me you're going to UP, you're going to Rhodes, you're going to UG, you're going to UCT, you're going to VET, all these universities in South Africa, and you can say you want 5 people only? I was like, what are the chances? I remember actually telling my husband the one time that, I feel this might be my chance, but at the same time, the stakes are so high, the competition is so high. What are the chances that they'll pick me out of all these people from all these universities? The lottery didn't seem to be in my favor. But anyway, I decided let me just apply. So the application process was nothing like I'd ever seen before. And this is where it comes in why I told you about my LLB journey and the type of student that I was. Because Linklaters is such a big global law firm, the competition is very stiff. So come your grades need to be top tier. Come your involvement, the things that you're extracurricular, just need to be top tier. They literally select the best of the best. So that's why I had to tell you about my journey, because it's not one of those where you can just wing it and then at the end just apply and then just get in, because the competition is so stiff in the UK and more so outside South Africa. So I look at the application form, it was long. It has changed, by the way, the format of the application has changed, so it doesn't really merit, it doesn't really help for me to tell you what it was like, but I'm just going to tell you that it was a long, detailed application form which needed you to think, which needed you to apply your commercial awareness. You just needed to be like woke, because remember it's a commercial law firm, so you needed to really know your stuff. And then so that was the application form, and then there was also the Watson Classier test, which is like a what do they call it? They call it a psychometric. Yes, psychometric test, sort of like test your logic and numbers and all that. So that was part one. Put in the form and do the psychometric test, and then you'll be invited for the interview if you make it past part one. I made it through the first stages and was invited for the interview process, which was a couple of months later. It was the way they kind of do it has changed a bit, so I won't go into too much detail about how it works, because the system has changed. But at that time it was like a half-day thing, like about 4 hours. So first you'd do the psychometric test again, then you'd have a case study in a few hours to, like, not a few hours, maybe an hour or so, to work through the case study and identify the critical commercial points. And then there was an HR interview, the usual, tell us about yourself, what sets you apart, and then a partner interview. So you get about 2 partners and you'd talk through the case study, which was like a technical interview. So I made it through that, and I also made it through the technical interview stage. I made it through the interview stage. I think there were about 10 of us, and then 5 of us got invited for the African Clerkship, which was in London. And so in November 2017, I landed in London for a month-long internship, which was great training. And at that time, there was like 5 of us from Africa, and there were about, I think, 12 from Australia, 3 or 4 from India, and a few others from the UK. So it was at the time when the different clerkships from all around the world, which Linklaters does, were all in London. Were all happening in London, and we were all there, and we had our month-long internship. So there were socials, and there were workshops, and the usual work. So you would sit with an associate or a managing associate, and they would give you tasks to do, sort of assess you as like your principal. And you'd also get like written tasks that you had to work through for the week and submit every month, every Friday. So there was quite a bit to do. And then at the end of the clerkship, there was another interview based on a case study again. So it was sort of like the decision was made based on how you performed in the interview with partners, and also how you performed for the past 4 weeks sitting with the different people who were supervising your work. So I made it through that also, and I finally got an offer to come and work for Linklaters. And so 2017, I was in my 3rd year. So I went back to South Africa in 2018, and I finished my LLB degree. And then in 2019, I moved to the UK. All expenses paid by Linklaters for everything that I needed to do until the day I set foot in the office. At that time, again, the UK has introduced a different system, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but at that time I still had to do a conversion course, which was 9 months. It was called the Graduate Diploma in Law. So I did that in 2019 to January to September. It was 9 months, a conversion course, since I did not have a UK law degree. And then after that, I had like a 4-month break, and then I had to do what was called the legal practice course. That one is done by everyone, from even those who have UK law degrees. It's sort of like, how in South Africa there are like board exams, so you could study for yourself and write board exams, or go to law school. These programs that are offered by some law faculties, law school, and then write board exams. So it was something like that, but in the UK how it was structured was that everyone would kind of do it before you actually start your article. So we did it for about 6-7 months, and that was coupled with an extra research element, which then turned it into a master's. So I did that in January 2020 until July-ish 2020, and then I started at Linklaters in September 2020 as a trainee solicitor, which is the equivalent of a candidate attorney. So it's been a long journey, and I'm like literally like 6 months away from qualifying. Well, I've actually completed all I need to complete to be qualified as an attorney of the, rather here it's called a solicitor of the courts of England and Wales, but I'm here to get my sign off and all that stuff. But yeah, it's been a long journey. 4 years of LLB, 9 months of GDL, 7 months of LPC, moving across the world, and finally I am here where I am. So how can you get a job in London? So I can't really speak for all the law firms, but I'll speak about Linklaters. So Linklaters is currently running applications for the 2022 cohort of applicant clerks. It's open right now, and I think it's closing end of April. But remember that I said the applicant clerkship is for international students studying law in South Africa. So if you're a South African citizen or a South African permanent resident, I'm not quite sure you can apply for that. But if you're an international student who's studying in LLB at a South African university or a master's at a South African university, then this is for you. I think in the description box I'm going to put down the link for how you can apply. But remember that I told you that the system has had to sort of change. So as much as I'm willing to help, I might not be able to help you through the application process as much as someone who did it in the past year or two can, because I did mine 5 years ago. But I'm happy to link you up with someone. If you're already a qualified attorney in South Africa, I'm not going to lie, it might be a bit difficult, because generally the legal field, especially for these big firms, is very competitive, and there are a lot of lawyers and law students who want to get into these law firms. But we do have a few people, for example, who joined our firm from South Africa. What I can advise you to do is that go to the UK website. I'm going to write the website somewhere here, and then there's a document there which has like it's called the tier 2 or skilled workers visa sponsors. I'm also going to link this in the description box. So go in there and look for law firms that offer sponsorship. You find a law firm that offers sponsorship, because you need a sponsor to get a work visa to come to the UK. So you can't like just come to the UK and then look for a job within the UK. You need a sponsor, you need a law firm to offer you a job and offer you sponsorship so you get a visa. So if you go there and you see a list of the sponsors, the legal sponsors, law firm sponsors, what you can then do is maybe to go on LinkedIn or go to their websites and check if they have like openings or roles, or they are hiring for associates for a particular job, and then apply to them. And then maybe they'll be able to, they might extend an offer to you, and then you get sponsorship. But generally it's not that easy to get a job in law in the UK, because it's not a scarce skill. So they're not like, there's no shortage of lawyers in the UK. So if they're not like doing a special scheme like the Linklaters applicant clerkship, where they are looking for applicants for a particular reason, it might be a bit hard. But I think there are a few other law firms that might offer that. I'm not quite sure, but try going to the government website, look for law firms that offer sponsorship, go to their websites if they have roles that they're hiring for, or go to LinkedIn, and if they have roles that they're advertising, then apply to them, and then through that they might be able to pick you up and offer you sponsorship to then get a job in the UK. That was my journey. That's how I ended up working at Linklaters, which is a global law firm, as I said. I hope this was helpful. If you're planning to apply for the African Linklaters clerkship, feel free to talk to me. I'm happy to help as much as I can. And if you are planning to go on the other route, reach out as well. I might be able to link you with some people who have followed that route. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that you will take the plunge and take the chance, and that it works out. Thank you for joining me. And if you're still not subscribed, please subscribe. Please engage in the comments. I hope this was helpful. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Do all the things that you should do to make this channel grow. And I'll see you next time with the next video. Goodbye.